You can be really talented and still lose your creative spark. Even very successful artists who've made it big can end up hitting a wall that completely shakes their creative identity. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of the reasons why this happens and how you can regain your creative power even if you feel like it's totally gone. My name is Adam. Welcome to my YouTube channel. Before we get started, make sure to check out my brand new ebook, From Darkness to Light, How to Drastically Change the Course of Your Life. This is a transformational blueprint that will help take you all the way from the very bottom of that sort of enough is enough point in your life through the healing process and into the new version of yourself. One of the reasons we can lose our creative spark is nervous system dysregulation. Chronic dysregulation can just wear down the body until we don't have the essence anymore to be creative. One of the things that a lot of creative people will do is they will try to override this with their mind or with their will. And for a while this may work, but at a certain point you will hit a wall where your body is just like, I can't do this anymore. This can happen when you work a job that requires you to be creative consistently. You have specific deadlines. You're sort of forced to create when you don't feel like it. And at some point, you can burn out to where you don't have the vitality anymore to be creative because it takes a certain amount of essence. It takes a lot of energy to create anything. It's way easier to sit at a desk and do data entry or some mindless task than it is to have the passion and inspiration to piece together something and channel something and write it and rewrite it and paint. And I mean, there's a very high level of soul connection that occurs in these moments. But again, the body has to be able to channel and hold that energy. I know this more than anybody. I spent so much of my life trying to sort of force myself to be creative, but I just didn't have the vitality physically to do it. And when this happens, it's a sign that you need to slow down and look at where you're imbalanced internally and biophysiologically. Okay, because when we're in the parasympathetic nervous system more, when we're in a state of relaxation and rest, we're actually building the container to channel the creative energy. And also the thing too is the body will start to show you what it is you really want to be creating when you start to burn out. It's sort of like a doorway to really find what it is that truly calls to you. So when you start to hit a wall like this, you want to step back, take it easy, kind of look at where you're pushing, when you're pushing, the reasons underneath why you're pushing. A lot of times we develop a fawn response as children, and the fawn response in the nervous system is the need to always be performing to get people to like us. And when we come from that place for too long, it's really unhealthy, and we're not actually creating or performing from a place of joy. We're doing it from a place of sort of fear, people-pleasing, and obligation. And so it's sort of a gift when you hit this wall, because you will have to stop, you will have to relax, you will have to look at your patterns, and then you will also be shown this sort of doorway into what it is you really do love. And you will only have bursts of energy for a little bit that come when you really want to create and when your heart is really connected to it. And you won't have the vitality or the ability to do it in any other time. Now, as you slowly start to renegotiate this pattern, your creative essence and your body's vitality will build. So that's the first reason. The second reason a lot of creatives lose their spark is because we're all going through a very big healing process on the planet right now. And there are some very high-level esoteric reasons that can start popping up in the subconscious and in your energy field. You may have a significant past life trauma. You may have a time where you wrote something and you were killed for it. And so you may be at a place where you've written a book, or you've written a certain amount of a book, or you've drawn a certain amount of a painting, and when you get to the point where you're getting close to being ready to present it, you hit a wall. And the reason you've hit that wall is because of something from another time and another place that's coming up. That's a trauma. And if you don't find these reasons, sometimes you can almost forget. Like you'll get this is what I would do for a long time. I would get close to being finished with something and I completely lose interest and I had no idea why. And then after a while I would go over here and I'd start a new project and I'd have all this energy and all this passion and I'd get about the same distance down the path, and then right when I got to about the same point, I completely lose interest. And that's because of these underlying patterns. I'll give you a specific example of something that I went through. So I've been drawn to comedy for many years. I was always very, very shy and reserved as a child and had a hard time speaking. But there was this little bit of an obsession with the ability that Robin Williams had. I would always look at Robin Williams, just his ability to, in any moment, with nothing whatsoever, be able to make up anything he wanted and make anybody laugh to the point where they couldn't stop laughing. I mean, that's, to me, one of the coolest gifts that anyone could ever have. But I always wondered, I was like, why can't I do that? I was like, I should be able to do that. I just felt like I should be able to do it. I didn't know why. I was obsessed with this for years. When I first started doing comedy, you know, I did pretty well, but not like Robin Williams, right? But I would get up on stage and I would feel like I know how to make all these people laugh until they can't stop laughing, except I can't do it. But I can't do it. Why can't I do it? And I took this to different sort of psychics and intuitives, and finally I was allowed to see what happened. And I saw this on my own, and then my friend further saw more of this life and confirmed it. And I know everyone will probably think I'm absolutely crazy, but I had a life where I had this ability. I was some kind of performer. I was kind of politically motivated, and I could just get up on a stage and improvise and riff and have everybody just laughing their asses off. And I loved it. I loved who I was in this life. I loved people. I loved the skill. But I was too sort of angry at the establishment, and a lot of my energy was directed at sort of mocking power. And something happened whereby I got the attention of sort of the higher up people in whatever country or wherever I was. And they sort of took me in and led me to believe that they were on my side. And they ended up killing me. And they ended up killing me in this absolutely like horrific way. And I was left like in the middle of sort of the town, like kind of mutilated. And I know this is really grotesque for everybody to see. And my friend said that what happened was my soul was so traumatized by this that I didn't fully cross after the life. And I was sort of like stuck out of my body, going around almost trying to negotiate with the people who were looking at my body, because I was so ashamed and so disappointed that this is how I was remembered. And so because of that, I had this really, really difficult time, and some other lives that I found too, speaking, performing, thinking on my feet, improvising, any of it. Because sometimes when we die in these horrific ways, we don't really process it as we cross, and then we'll come back into the next life carrying it. And so that whole unprocessed experience was brought with me into this life, along with many others, and in my nervous system. I see this a lot with spiritual people and creative people are just completely frozen from times where they've had horrific things like this happen to them. And especially if it's because you were creative, you will associate, your subconscious will associate any sort of act of expression with the trauma, and it can shut everything down. But what happened was, when this life cleared, I'm not saying like then I got all my Robin Williams skills. That's not exactly what happened. But when this life cleared, that obsession went away. that obsession went away, and I don't want to say like I became supremely confident overnight, because there was a lot more to it. I've had a lot of different lives I've had to find, and I've also had a lot of childhood trauma stuff I've had to work through. There's a whole thing I'm doing in this life that isn't just about this one life, but there was a significant shift in how I felt about myself and as a performer when this was cleared. And I don't wonder anymore. I don't have that wonder or obsession in the same way that I did before. So these are things that may sound fucking crazy, but I promise you they're true. And when you have these things that are with you your entire life that you're wondering about, that you can't answer based on your childhood experiences, and then you do some large level esoteric clearing on them, and all of this energy comes out of your body and your perception shift, you just kind of know there's truth to it. So if you're really creative, and whether you're successful or not, you hit a wall somewhere, this is very probably one of the things that's going on, and it is enormous. It's an enormous resolution when you find what this is. The third reason why you can completely lose your spark as a highly successful creative person or artist is we can attach too much to our skills or abilities. When you're very good at something, when you're very, very good at something, it's very easy to form an identity around that. When you're recognized for your skill, for your talent, for your gifts, it feels really good. And it's a very positive thing. But it still can be an over-identification from the point of view of the ego. We can get attached to anything: money, status, relationships. I think sort of the highest thing to be attached to is your skills and abilities, because those are really generally a reflection and an expression of your soul. But you still can rely too heavily on that recognition and validation to derive a sense of self-esteem, validation, and accomplishment. And it's a very slippery slope. I spent most of my life really depressed because I got a little bit of validation as a teenager for my abilities and skills in the artistic arena. I was voted most talented in high school, and then I was a junkie for 9 years and went into rehab and worked shit fucking horrible jobs and got none of that. And I was always in this battle, just feeling like I can do all these things that I can't do, because I was really sick. My body didn't work, my mind didn't work. I had so much trauma. I couldn't get that from anyone. And the gift, though, for me was I was forced in this life to really deeply learn how to love and respect myself, just because, for no reason. I was not at all allowed to identify with. I wasn't given any of that. And maybe I'll get it, I'll get to have both, because I think that ideally we want to have both. We want to feel very loved from the inside just cause, but then we want to offer our gifts from that place too. It's not like you don't want to offer your gifts or not be seen or recognized for your gifts. It's just that you want to learn how to balance, both the internal self-esteem from a deeply sort of spiritual place, and then from there, offer your talents to the world. Because artistry and performing really is about sort of that give and take. Because it's not like you're going to get to a place where you don't care at all what anyone thinks ever. I mean, you want to impact people. That's what we want to do. We want to make them feel something or think something or heal something. And that's a very benevolent and positive motivation that's okay to have. It's just about kind of seeing where maybe you're over-identified with that, and how would you feel, or how do you feel when you don't get that. So in that case, you really want to look at, like, where have you become overly attached to feeling good about yourself for your skills? And a lot of this can come from childhood trauma. It can come from, needing to perform as children to make our parents happy, the sad clown paradox, where you need to be making somebody else laugh. Or as a child, you were called to make your mom or your dad laugh, and that's how you derive validation. And that's great, but not if when you don't get it, you feel like a worthless piece of shit. See, true creativity wants freedom, not pressure. True creativity wants flow. When we put pressure on it, and pressure comes from all these things that I've listed, you tend to stifle the flow. So see this burnout or this wall as an invitation to evolve, not as a curse. You're not done. You're not going to create anymore. It's about renegotiating where you're coming from internally so that you can balance yourself with your creativity in a very harmonious, loving, and fun relationship. It's an invitation to evolve from performer to creator, from like an artist to expressing yourself truly from your soul essence. This isn't about being broken. It's not a death sentence. It's about evolving. Your blocks are invitations and initiations to going deeper and finding a deeper level of creativity and power. They're doorways to the next level. So you're not actually being blocked. You may feel blocked right now, but something bigger is trying to emerge. But in order for it to and take full expression, these things need to be looked at and resolved, and then you will graduate and level up to a whole another realm of creativity. If you want to go deeper into this kind of healing and clearing work, that's what I do. You can click the link in the description below to get on a free half-hour call with me and go over some of this stuff. Other than that, thank you so much. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Please subscribe to the channel if you got a lot out of this video, and I look forward to next time. Bye-bye.